Hello, and today's Reinvention Rooms conversation is with Beth Winsor. Beth, who's a yoga teacher, professional photographer, owner of the simply amazing Cameo Studios on the Farncombe
Thank you.
Estate in Broadway. So welcome, Beth. Thanks very much for doing
Thank
this.
you. Thanks for inviting me.
No, pleasure. And just looking at your short bio from your website, what I've gleaned, like you've lived in Japan, you've lived in India, your home now is the Cotswolds. But where did your journey to where you are now with Cameo Studios, where did that all begin?
It was, yes, I'm originally from the Philippines and I met my husband in Japan, who's British. And we moved to the UK in, I think it was 20, 2005, I think, when we moved here. And then I wasn't really, I was a photographer firstly. I wasn't very athletic. I wasn't sporty. I took on running when my kids were little. It was just one of those things I wanted to do, like, one of the couch to 10K type
Yeah, yeah.
thing. So I did that when we were living in the UK and we had the kids. Right after we had the kids, I started running. I really enjoyed it. Ran a 10K, did a couple of 5Ks. And then when the kids were age 6 and 3, my husband got offered a job in India, and so we moved there as a family
That's a
and
massive
thinking
life change. How did
it,
everyone
it
react to
was
that?
it
Yeah.
was yeah, but it was quite exciting because obviously being Asian, it was an opportunity to live in Asia again, and it was really lovely for my kids to experience, yeah, childhood in Asia, very similar to mine. And then when we moved there, I thought I would continue running, but I really, it was just a different experience. It was a bit challenging to run freestyle in
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
um, and I didn't enjoy running on the treadmill. And then one of the friends that we met there invited me to join them for a yoga class. And so I went. I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't done any yoga classes before that. So I went, really enjoyed it, but I wasn't quite sure to start. But because there wasn't anything else that I felt, I did enjoy going to, yeah, I did enjoy going to the gym on the treadmill.
Mm.
And so it was like, I had to do something.
Mm.
So
So it
I,
wasn't so it wasn't like a sort of an immediate I've fallen in love with this. It
no,
sounds
no,
like a slow burn. Yeah.
it was a slow burn.
Yeah.
But eventually it made sense to me. And then my body responded to the practice. And I just started attending. And it was a hot yoga class that I started going to, which was mad, as we were in India and it was already very hot. So I went through this stage. I think it was about a year or 18 months, nearly 18 months, where I was really hooked. That's the only word to describe it, really hooked on it. And I was coming sometimes twice a day, every day, and really my life was suddenly consumed. It was kind of
Mm.
slow burn. And then when I fell in love with it, it was like madly in love
Yeah.
with it. Um, and then there was a period of time where I kind of fell out of love of it. It was more the school. It was more the school that I went to that I kind of thought, oh, I don't enjoy this anymore. And I think I found myself because of the hot yoga. I just didn't make sense anymore to do that. And so I stopped doing yoga for a few months. And then when I kind of felt that I missed it, I started looking at other schools because you're in India, of course, it's
Mm.
the birthplace of yoga, so there's a lot of
Yeah.
choices. And then I found a school that I really connected with the teachers, connected with the directors. It was such a lovely community. A lot of them were Indians as well. There were Indians, and there were a few expats there, but it really felt like an authentic
Mm.
community. I really loved it and got involved with them. I started just attending again. And then eventually I realized that I wanted to carry on doing this when we left India. And we knew that we were in India for only 4 years. So I said, I want to be able to do this. And so I decided to train as a teacher, not really then to teach, but so that I know what to do. I know that I can continue. So I trained with the directors, and then somehow in that process fell in love with the teaching process of it, the teaching aspect of it. And then when we moved back to the UK, I just started teaching. Initially, we moved to Leamington Spa, Kenilworth
Mm.
area, started teaching there in village halls, other studios, and then when we moved to the Cotswolds, did the same thing, and then lockdown happened. And I think I could really say it all started in lockdown, because obviously everything stopped and everyone started doing everything online.
Yeah.
So I then set up an online studio.
It's amazing,
Which
isn't it, how lockdown in many ways it birthed a lot of creativity.
Absolutely. Because I think from that thing of, okay, we're stuck, we can't do anything, we have to do something.
Yeah.
So I set up an online studio. And it was really lovely because my students in India were still able to do yoga with me again. And obviously the people who were doing yoga with me in the village halls and the other studios here
Yeah.
could still practice. And they used to structure their day around the yoga classes. I would teach twice. I would teach twice a day, and that was really good. So I did more than a year of online yoga, and that was every day. And it started really from that. And then when
Did you have to market a
Yeah.
lot to get your clients?
Kind of local marketing, really. So like I said, my previous students got signed up, and then people, my friends who didn't live in the country, suddenly all wanted to do yoga with me. So it was really lovely. It was quite organic. I didn't market to a whole bunch of strangers, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I had a presence on Facebook, but it kind of grew organically. I didn't have thousands and thousands of people
yeah,
doing it with me, but I had a good group of people, like a regular group of people who did it for like a year, more than a year. And the lovely thing is that a lot of them have started coming to the studio, so they've known me from before,
they
which
know
is
you from the beginning. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
exactly. And then when lockdown opened, when lockdown, when it came out of
yeah.
lockdown, and I knew I wanted to start in-person classes. The space, I came upon the studio really kind of by accident. And then again, it was the opposite. It was like a love at first sight kind of thing. I saw the
Yeah,
space, and it doesn't look like this then. It was a
yeah.
disused office, and peeling paint, really horrible carpet, but I saw the light, and the space was really lovely. And it was just, I've never really thought of running, and never really kind of intended to run a yoga studio. I really enjoyed teaching yoga. It was a space. It was, I could tell, the space called out to me. So you got to
Yeah,
take it.
yeah.
So then that's it. And then we're nearly on our fourth year. We're on our fourth year now. So
Yeah. I mean,
quite
that's
exciting.
yeah. I mean, that's really anyone that's in business and you've got you've got bricks and mortar. That's a big kind of risk. So how did you
It was a
actually how did you make it possible from going to doing something online where overheads are fairly low? How did you actually create this business? How was it done?
It was, I remember the first time we viewed the space, my husband viewed it with me. I wasn't expecting much because I didn't really know, because this was not really listed. So when I spoke to the management, they said, "Oh yeah, we've got space," and it was very vague. And so when we came to see, I said, "We'll see. If you like it, then great. If not, then it's okay. Carry on." And then when I saw the space, like I said, I just fell in love with it. And then I remember sitting back in the car and then having that slightly nervous look in my face, thinking, "I'm going to have to do this. I'm
Did
going to have to take the
your husband
plunge."
know as well? Did he realize that he saw the look in your
Yes,
eye? Yeah.
yeah. Initially, he said, "Well, if you're going to take on a space, do you want to look at other spaces? See what's out there?" I said, "No, no, no. This is it. This is it." It was really like that.
Yeah.
And so, I wrote a business plan. We started negotiations with the management here, and it was a very quick turnaround. I think I saw the space in May, and then we started working on it from July, August, and opened in September.
Wow. Okay.
And it was a lot of, thankfully, I had quite a client base of the students that I was teaching in village halls locally. So when I said I'm teaching again and I've got this really lovely space, they were just very happy to come along.
Yeah.
And then those who were local, who did the online yoga, were more than happy to then start practicing in person. And then it was just lovely word of mouth. People kind of just discovered where we are, who we are, what we do, liked what we offer, and then people just came. So
Perfect. Build it and
yes,
they will come.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And there's something on your website about crowdfunding. Did that play a part?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the
So how does that
floor.
work? How does that work in practice? Yeah.
So basically, when we started the studio, we knew that we had to do a lot of things on it. So it was really good timing because when we opened it, we were coming up into summer. and people were already telling me, oh, I can't do classes because I'm away. So then, because I had the online presence, I had the online kind of facilities. So one of the things I did was offer for, I did a challenge. It was like a 21-day yoga challenge, and I sold that as a package. So if they signed up for the challenge, they paid an amount which went to crowdfunding, and they got access to daily yoga, online yoga for the month of summer. So it was really lovely. So I got a lot of people doing that. I had so many friends and family who obviously supported the dream, and also students who were very excited about the prospect of having a beautiful space to practice yoga, and just really supported it. So when I did the crowdfunding, so I said, if you donated, for example, if you donated £50, you get 5 classes when we opened. And for those, there was a few people who were not into yoga, but into the photography bit. So I said, you donate a particular amount, you get a photo shoot that I'll do for you once we open. So it was really lovely. And we were able to raise, I think it was more than £4,000.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Which was amazing. And it paid for the floor. So
Yeah.
it's such a, every time I touch the floor, every time I see it, it's a reminder that this is a space really, built by the community, for the community. So it's kind of, it's given us such a great gift, because the space is lovely, but it's also giving people who've contributed towards it, something back, because they're still here.
Yeah. No, that's lovely. I
Yeah.
was going to say, it sounds like it has created that sense of community, because there's an investment. No, I mean, not from everyone, but there's an investment, isn't there, from people that have helped you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was really kind of what I really wanted to foster here, because you can practice yoga anywhere. You can go to a gym, you can go to a village hall. But what I really remembered from the school that I went to in India, was that sense of community. We just didn't do yoga. There was always, we would do weekend hikes together. We would go out, for meals together. There was that strong, lovely sense of community, and not being Indian, being a foreigner there. That was so helpful for me. And I've always kind of felt, it'd be lovely to find a space like this when I go back to the UK. And little did I know that it was not just finding, but it was actually, I had to create that space for people.
Yeah.
which is really lovely. And that's been one of the most fulfilling, most satisfying things that I see in the community here. That, and I see people who have met at the studio in a class, and they're good friends. They do things together, they holiday together. And for me, that's like, oh, that's really, really lovely that they found that in here, the friendships here.
Yeah. No, super. I mean, you mentioned about yoga being a slow burn, and then you became obsessed. What was it? What was it that sort of finally captured that gave you that spark?
I think initially, and I could probably say the same for a lot of people who start coming to yoga, it's the physical aspect of it. You find yourself, you're not in pain so much, you're a bit more flexible, you can do things a little bit more easily. And I think for me, that was what I realized, that, oh, I can do all these things. I'm, finding ways of moving my body, or creating shapes that I've never kind of realized I could do, and being able to do difficult things, learning how to headstand and things like this. It's all, initially, it was all the physical aspect of it. And I think that's the same with people who start coming to yoga. They find that they move better, they feel better about themselves. But then later on, it was the secret side of yoga, not really secret, but the one that comes after. It's like the mindfulness and the calmness, and then just that sense of being able to calm myself by my breath, and just find, body awareness, all those things. And it's just become like a part of my lifestyle. And a lot of students who also come here also say that when you've had a big gap during Christmas or something, or you've been away on holiday and you haven't done much, and they come back and think, I've really missed it, I really felt it, I was so I was so moody, or something like that.
Yeah.
And because they've found that connection to their body and the breath. And I think that's what I love about it, that it's I'm moving my body, I'm doing things that hopefully will help in my longevity. I want to be able to move better, move well in my old age, but at the same time, I'm looking after my mental health.
Yeah.
I have tools to to calm myself when needed, and to cope with difficult things. You know, I always talk about that in classes, that whatever we do on the mat, what we practice on the mat, like when you practice balance, or when we learn a difficult pose or a challenge, the things that we do on the mat, hopefully we take that with us as we step off the mat, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah. I mean, that really drew me in. When I went through a really difficult time at work last year, and I had some therapy sessions. They were brilliant. They were amazing. And I was doing some mindfulness anyway. I'd been doing that for probably about 4 or 5 years. And when I reached the end of the therapy sessions, my therapist said, just don't just stop, have a think about maybe replacing that time that we've had together for an hour with something else. And I was thinking, right, what can I do? What can I do? And a friend of mine had got my wife into yoga, and I thought, well, that sounds really cool. I'll do that. And it started off as being that replacement for that time just for me, to have an hour to myself. And I love that combination of physicality and mindfulness. The starting on the mat where it's just you and your breath, and the ending on the mat where it's you and your breath.
Yeah.
And I'm a cyclist, so my muscles are shortening every single week. So I feel definitely more supple, and yeah, I think I can run around in the back garden with my son without worrying that I'm going to pull something, which is a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's those things that I love to hear when you feel the effect of the class, not when you're in the studio, not when you're on the mat, but when you're elsewhere. Like when people come and tell me that they've gone skiing, and they said it's the best time, this is the best ski season that they've had, because they feel like they've built the strength through yoga during the year before. Or like I teach a really lovely 73-year-old lady, very, very lovely, and we work a lot on balance. And she said that's really kind of helped her, when she's with her grandchildren, she feels like she's in control of her body. She can catch herself when she feels like she's about to fall or losing her balance. And these are the things that's really important. But it's like what you said, you got that hour of, you can just focus on your breath. And I think the thing with yoga is that because you do have to focus a lot, what's the teacher saying? Which foot is it in the front? Which hand is it? It doesn't help if the teacher also gets confused.
I wasn't going to drop you in it then.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to think, or when you're balancing, you have to really focus on what you're doing. And you just don't have any choice but to kind of park everything else that you're thinking of, or anything that you're worrying about, to the side, and you're just there for 1 hour being present and just being. And it's something that a lot of people, I think, need more of, just to have that time, that set time, that you're not constantly thinking about what you're doing, what's happening, or what's stressing you out, but just have that time, just you and your breath, and just to recharge and reconnect.
Yeah. I mean, could you talk just a little bit about how it's actually very accessible? Because I think some people can be a bit intimidated. They're going to be sort of, forced to move in positions that they can't. But I think it's, that's what you do. You create this really welcoming feeling, that you just do what you can do. And it's very much about understanding your own body to sort of push it however you want to. I mean, could you talk about that a little bit, about to someone that's never done it before, what might they expect? And
yeah, I think because the yoga being a billion-dollar industry, sometimes when you think about it, it's so wrong. But how it's presented, how it's sold to a lot of people, especially in the West, it's very much, when you see, if you open Google Images and you put just yoga in there, the first image that will come up will be someone very young, very slim, very flexible. And people think, okay, that's yoga. Yoga is all about, you have to be flexible to be able to do yoga. And people always come say that to me when, it's a new person. Oh, I can't do yoga. I'm not very good at yoga. It's like telling someone that telling someone that you just, it's that's why you come and do it, because you're not good at it. And I think it's a teacher's responsibility to be able to teach somebody, whoever is in front of you, whether they are flexible, whether they are fit, they're strong, then you give them what they need. But also, if someone is coming and they're completely new, that you present it in a way that they don't feel intimidated, because yoga is for everybody. And this is why I'm so pleased that we started doing accessible yoga at the studio. This is yoga on chairs for not necessarily just for the elderly, but if people are coming with joint issues or they're recovering from an injury, they still want to stretch, but they don't want want to get down on the floor, or if that's quite a challenge, that you still be able to do that. But also, even just in a typical yoga class, being able to provide options for people, and being able to give the people the opportunity to play and explore what they can do and how they can adapt like, what we would probably call like a classic pose, and how to change that so their body is happy doing that posture. And it's because it is, it's for everybody. It's not meant to be the young and the fit and the bendy. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's something that you can do in your old age because it's low impact. And I think I've really, in my 40s, I've really changed about how I look at yoga. When I was younger, when I first started practicing it, it was all about doing the difficult postures, doing the challenging postures. Yeah, we go for it, the power yoga, all that. But now I've come to a place where actually I love this so much. I love doing yoga so much. I want to be able to do this for as long as I can. And therefore, maybe I need to change how I practice. So I don't practice for performance, but I practice for longevity. So that means maybe I don't push myself too hard all the time, so I don't get injured, or I don't overstretch, and I balance that. It's great what you said about cycling. You complement your movement with something else. So I enjoy weight training. And I feel that's a nice balance between the flexibility, building flexibility and mobility, and also building strength and kind of, So for me, that works really well together.
Yeah. And if people want to find you, where can they find you? How can they
So,
join your classes?
yes, so we are in the lovely Farncombe Estate. We are nestled in like 500 acres of lovely estate, and we're in a tiny pocket of that. So it's really lovely. When you come through the estate, you have this really long drive. So when you come in the evenings, you can see the sunset. When you come during the daytime, you see the rolling hills with the sheep there sometimes, and a view of Broadway. And all our classes are on our website. So it's got all the information there. We've got class descriptions, and there's a bit as well where we also kind of suggest this is maybe gently paced, this is medium paced, this is a bit more intense perhaps, because different people look for a different kind of yoga style maybe that they're looking for. And but they can always contact me via the website. People usually say, I'm interested to do yoga, what class would you suggest? And then I talk them through what they're looking for, what their previous experience is, and then I guide them into a class that they probably would enjoy. So I work with a team of about 6-7 teachers at the studio, and it's really lovely. We've got very different styles. All the teachers teach very differently to each other, but everyone always says that we complement each other. So it kind of makes sense. We make sense together as a team. So we have classes that are a bit more dynamic, a bit more challenging, if that's what you're looking for. And we've got classes that are a bit more mellow, more gentle, if that's what you think you need. And then there's everything in between. And then sometimes people kind of, move back and forth through the classes. Maybe some days, or I find like different seasons in winter, people are kind of more drawn into the gentler practice because your body is in that hibernation mode. And in the summer, spring, people feel a bit more energetic in the spring, summer, and then they might want to try a more challenging class, a more dynamic class. And then we've got that as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I think it's mellow flow for me for the
Yes.
foreseeable, I think. I'm very much enjoying it.
No,
Thanks
but
for,
you're doing so well, honestly. It's been so lovely to have you at the studio, but
thank you.
also kind of it's so nice to have more men coming to do yoga as well, because that's one thing too, right?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Yeah, because sometimes I'm the only bloke there. Sometimes there's another guy that comes as well. But yeah.
Yeah, we've got a few guys coming on different classes,
Yeah.
different days. We've got one male yoga teacher as well, Barney, who's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's so good when people, when men begin to realize how good it is for them. And yeah, we just need to get the word out that, you're very welcome here, because people do come in and say, is it mostly women? I said, yes, it is, but it's very friendly. It's a very friendly crowd.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I've been made to feel very welcome. So
Yes.
it's not intimidating when I arrive. So no,
No.
it's really nice.
I think it's that initial thing, right? I think
Yeah.
as a blog, it's that initial thing. It's like, oh my gosh, it's women who know what they're doing. I'm the only guy.
I'll be the one
But
falling over. Yeah.
once you get past that,
Yeah.
then it's a lovely space to be.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks so much for sharing your
You're very
roots into
welcome.
yoga and sharing more about the studios as well.
Anytime.